Bijan Robinson was the 8th pick in the 2023 draft, and just 2 years later, he's already a star.
Big play to keep this drive going. Now it's Bijan Robinson, hits the hole, stays on his feet, speeds down the sideline to the end zone. Bijan's got it, and this time he's got it.
But 7 guys were drafted before him, some of them looking legit and others barely hanging on. This is what happened to every player drafted before Bijan, and why some teams already might regret their decision of not taking him. I don't know about you guys, but halfway through the 2024 season, this pick was just looking worse and worse with limited hope of getting better. It was the perfect example of a team betting it all on one player and seemingly getting it wrong. The Panthers gave up their entire future to move up and grab Bryce Young first overall. Their 2024 first rounder, which ended up being Caleb Williams, the first overall pick, DJ Moore, and a bunch of other picks. To be fair, you can't really argue with what he showed at Alabama. In 2021, his Heisman year, he threw for 4,872 yards with 47 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions. The guy was carving up defenses left and right with very little signs of struggle. Until, of course, the national championship against Georgia that year.
Here comes the blitz. Down the middle and on the fly. Jamison Williams, extra speed on the gas and gone. Touchdown.
But then NFL reality hit him like a bus. Young's rookie year was anything but pretty. He had a less than 60% completion rate, 2,877 yards, and only 11 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. You could see the game was moving a bit too fast for him, and the pressure was just getting bigger every single week. Year 2 started out even worse. His first 2 games, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and passer ratings of 32.8 and 57.2. Carolina actually benched the guy after just 18 starts.
Bryce Young is being benched in favor of Andy Dalton, the former first-round draft pick.
I mean, think about that for a second. They traded their future for this guy and were hitting the panic button on him before he even played 20 games. But the awesome thing about this situation is, once they gave him his job back, he began to find a rhythm. Young started again in week 8, and by the end of the year, he looked like a totally different player. In the last 3 games of the season, all above a 100 passer rating with 7 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. The Panthers went 2-1 in those games with 2 overtime wins. And I don't know about you, but that finale against Atlanta was something special to watch. Young threw for 251 yards and 3 touchdowns, then ran in 2 more scores, including a 10-yard touchdown in the 4th quarter to put them up 38-31. Suddenly, he looked like the guy that Carolina thought they were getting all along. Personally, I'm rooting for Young to bring that momentum into 2025. I want to see what the Panthers can do with him running the show and looking confident along the way. And while Carolina was trying to figure out what they'd gotten themselves into, Houston freaking nailed it with their 2nd overall pick.
Look, you guys know, I mean, you guys have been in the locker room. Players know. Players are smart. They know what it feels like. Darius been in AJ. I mean, you know what it's like. So when a guy walks in, don't try to be anything else other than who you are, because that's good enough. And I would say what CJ has is damn good enough. And, you know, I think we all reaping the benefits of that.
CJ Stroud came out of Ohio State with some serious numbers. Over 8,000 yards and 85 touchdowns in just his final 2 seasons. Plus, he was a Heisman finalist twice. But nobody expected what he was going to bring to the table in the NFL. His rookie year was ridiculous. We're talking about a guy who only threw 5 interceptions on 499 attempts while taking the Texans to the playoffs. He scored his first couple of touchdowns in that Week 2 game against Indianapolis, but I mean, Week 9 against Tampa Bay was the biggest statement of them all. Stroud went off for 470 yards and 5 touchdowns, and it was one of those games where everything was just working perfectly.
Stroud looking. Deep ball, hold in, takedown. Got some of the business at the end of the play. Stroud to the end zone, touchdown.
He made the Pro Bowl, won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and was seriously in the MVP conversation before getting a concussion against the Jets in Week 14.
CJ Stroud, has played the best quarterback in the NFL this season. Yes, he's been that good, and I said it. Go argue in a cave with your echo. That's hilarious. Could become first rookie to win MVP since Jim Brown in 1957.
His second season saw some regression on paper, which honestly happens to a lot of quarterbacks in year number 2. But Stroud still went 10-7, won the division, and helped the Texans make the playoffs again. They beat the Chargers in the wild card round and put up a good fight against Kansas City in the divisional round. At just 23 years old, Stroud's already shown that he could carry a franchise. A lot of other teams are still wondering if their quarterback picks are going to work out, but Houston knows exactly what they've got here. And with pick number 3 right here, Houston doubled down on the transformation. Both Stroud and Will Anderson are looking like very solid picks, setting the foundation on both sides of the ball.
And a lot has changed. Now Connor's 10th season is Camaro. Play clock down to 2. Connor hit the backfield. Connor is thrown down. Will Anderson.
Tackle spot in for Jalen Duncan, who's done a tremendous job today.
Tannehill's going to be sacked back at the 46. Will Anderson Jr.
Anderson came out of Alabama as one of the most ready-to-go pass rushers in years. In 2021, he finished 5th in Heisman voting as a defensive player, which doesn't normally happen unless you're completely destroying offensive game plans. That season was crazy good, with 35 tackles for a loss and 17.5 sacks, leading the SEC in both categories. He also finished his college career 2nd in Alabama history for both of those categories, behind only Derek Thomas. And it's kind of interesting. Teams have been missing on edge rushers a bit over the past few drafts, but Anderson, the dude hit the ground running from day one. His rookie season was exactly what you want to see from a top 3 pick. 7 sacks and 45 tackles in just 15 games, plus he won Defensive Rookie of the Year and made the Pro Bowl.
And the 2023 AP Defensive Rookie of the Year is?
Will Anderson Jr.
And in year number 2, Anderson jumped to 11 sacks in 14 games while becoming more comfortable reading NFL offenses. He hasn't played a full 17-game season yet, but when he's on the field, he is definitely getting after it. Houston fans are starting to feel like they're building something really special here, and I don't blame them. Back-to-back picks on Stroud and Anderson, both paying off right away. That's how you turn a franchise around quickly. The team suddenly has that big game feel that you desperately need when you're trying to make a real run in the postseason. I think they're still missing a couple big pieces, but if they get them, better watch out for Houston. Okay, this is where things get a bit more messy. Anthony Richardson might be the most split opinion pick from this entire draft class. Coming out of Florida, he was always going to be a project. Sure, he had a solid NFL combine and the physical tools were all there that made scouts go crazy, but his college completion rate was just 54.7%. When you're taking a quarterback 4th overall with accuracy problems, you're basically betting everything on what he might become instead of what he actually did. Indy was desperate though. They've been looking for Andrew Luck's replacement for years, going through Jacoby Brissett, Carson Wentz, and Matt Ryan with nothing to show for it. So when they saw Richardson's rocket arm and his ability to run the ball so well, they talked themselves into thinking they could fix the accuracy stuff. His rookie year, Richardson threw for 577 yards with 3 touchdowns and only 1 interception in limited playing time. Then 2024 happened. Everything just fell apart. Richardson's completion rate dropped to 47.7% for the entire year. We're talking about games where he couldn't even hit above 50% of his throws until week 4, and even in that game, he only threw 4 passes. Against Miami in week 7, he only completed 41.7% of his pass attempts. Then the very next week, just 31.3% against Houston on 32 attempts. That's a guy who's thinking way too much on every throw and missing guys by quite a bit. And that's before we even get to that horrible decision with the game on the line.
That you were too tired and had to tap out of a game to catch your breath. Bro, I'm a former offensive lineman. We don't get plays off. We're literally out there to protect you. And for you to tap out in that situation, It's the most ridiculous thing that I have ever heard.
Richardson finished the year with 1,814 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions in 11 games, and people started asking if Indy jumped way too early on a guy who should have just stayed in college a bit longer. Devin Witherspoon didn't even start playing football until his junior year of high school in Florida, which meant he graduated as a 0-star recruit with basically no college wanting him. Illinois took a chance on him, and Witherspoon pleasantly surprised them. He became the first defensive back in school history to be named consensus All-American, and you could see why.
How many cornerbacks on the very first play of the game, this is the first offensive play of the game for Indiana, set the tone for the rest of the game?
Seattle saw something special in him and took him 5th overall, and it didn't take long for Witherspoon to prove them right. As a rookie, he started 13 games and put up 79 tackles and 3 sacks while defending 16 passes. You could see how versatile he was. He could cover receivers on the outside or move into the slot and mess up everything underneath. And then there's that awesome pick 6 he had against the Giants.
This was picked. Back the other way, Witherspoon. Devin Witherspoon cuts back. You think they love him in Seattle? How about 6 points?
But what really made him different was his run defense. Pro Football Focus said he was the 3rd best run defense cornerback in the league in 2024. Plus, he only gave up 63 catches all season long, which was 6th among all cornerbacks in the league. When you put that together with his ability to come up and stop running plays, you're looking at one of the most complete defensive backs in football. Witherspoon made the Pro Bowl both years so far. He's become exactly the kind of building block that championship defenses need. But building a franchise also means finding those solid, steady guys who might not make all the headlines, but they keep everything running. That's exactly what Arizona wanted with Paris Johnson Jr. He came out of Ohio State, where he played right guard for one of the best offenses in college football. Then he moved to left tackle in his final year and got consensus All-American honors. The Cardinals were really smart about bringing him along too. They started him at right tackle as a rookie, letting him get used to the NFL speed and power before asking him to protect the blind side. Johnson handled the move pretty well, and he missed 3 games in 2024, but when he was playing, he looked like a guy that you could really rely on and build around.
Hey! Hey! Set them down! Go to Miami, baby! Hey! Fast, violent, physical, let it feel you, boy!
Pro Football Focus even had him as the 12th best tackle in the league last season, which is pretty incredible when you think about the situation. Arizona's been struggling to find any rhythm on offense for years, so having a guy who can lock down one of the most important spots while everything else is changing, that's really valuable. Pick number 7, on the other hand, maybe not so much. Tyree Wilson might be the perfect example of a team reaching for what they need instead of taking the best guy available.
Tyree Wilson's a beast. He's a first-round NFL defensive edge rusher.
The hype was certainly there, but as a rookie, Wilson finished with just 3.5 sacks and 29 tackles. For a top 10 pick, those numbers aren't the best. Year 2, he had a bit of an improvement, 4.5 sacks in 16 games with 4 starts. The problem is he gets some pressure but has trouble finishing plays, which usually means that he's a step slow getting off the line or doesn't have that closing speed to actually get to the quarterback. Those are the kinds of problems that should have been red flags before using such a high draft pick on him. To be fair to him, if you watch Wilson throughout 2024, he did look a bit more comfortable in the system and started figuring out how to use his length a bit better. Maybe 2025 is going to be his breakout year, but that's asking a lot from a guy who's been very underwhelming throughout 2 seasons. The Raiders could have easily traded down or used that pick on this next guy up who was sitting there at 8th overall, but now they have Ashton Genty, and we're all excited to see what he can do. Bijan Robinson, on the other hand, has one of the most complete skill sets we have seen from a young running back in years. I mean, Saquon Barkley is probably the best running back in the league right now, and he has nothing but good things to say about the guy.
I think Bijan's the next great one. Him and Gibbs, there's nobody who's able to cut like Bijan.
That's pretty cool praise, because Bijan basically came out of Texas as the most ready-to-go running back prospect since Barkley himself. His college numbers were insane. 1,580 rushing yards and 18 touchdowns in his final year, plus he could line up anywhere on the field and create problems for defenses. He could catch, block, and make plays wherever you put him. As a rookie, Robinson ran for 976 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns while catching 58 passes and tacking on 4 more touchdowns through the air. Not too bad for a guy learning the Falcons system. But in 2024, he exploded for 1,456 rushing yards and made his first Pro Bowl while finishing 3rd among all running backs with 61 catches. His agility is crazy to watch. He just has that rare mix of vision, patience, and burst that lets him turn nothing plays into huge gains. And he'll just wait for a split second, let the defense commit, and then hit a gap so fast it looks like he just disappeared and then reappeared. When you add in his receiving ability, you're looking at a guy who can take over games in so many ways. I mean, he had 1,887 total yards from scrimmage in 2024. It's interesting because in recent years, there's this whole line of thinking that you just shouldn't take running backs early on. I guess that's fine until you really get a legit weapon like Bijan. Every now and then, a guy like him comes along, and for the most part, the last few have been amazing. You got Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. They've all been complete difference makers when they're healthy. Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, I will say, are already showing they belong in that group. And this upcoming year, with Michael Penix Jr. getting a full season, Robinson could be set for a huge 2025 year. So listen, we've got a few guys looking like future stars for sure, but Tyree Wilson, Anthony Richardson, you got to wonder what those teams are thinking right about now, watching Bijan tear through defenses every single week. What do you guys think, though? Is this going to be Bijan's true MVP caliber year? Because I certainly believe it could be. Let me know in the comment section down below, and if you want to see another video just like this, check this one out right here. I think you'll enjoy it.